Hello and welcome to the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. I am delighted today to bring you a friend and a guest who has launched an online membership. And a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure of getting to know Joseph and finding out more about what he's done for his father and also obviously for himself as well by building up this membership. But I really wanted to get him on to the podcast to tell his story, because a lot of our students who go through our Tech Pixies program, they are thinking about launching memberships. And Joseph is a perfect example of someone who has taken the plunge, launched a membership, and has done it very successfully. So Joseph, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
No, thanks for having me.
Well, I really want you to tell your story because you have a fascinating story. So can we go all the way back to, I think you'd gone off to university and your dad, I don't want to mess it up. So tell the story about what happened and how you got started with this venture.
Sure. So my dad has taught woodworking for absolutely ages, for all my life, and he's British. So there's a you and I share a sort of British American connection. So he's British, and he moved out to the US, which is where I was born, and he taught people woodworking out in the US for absolutely decades, and then moved back here to the UK, and he was teaching classes, and as you said, I was at university at the time, and I started making videos of him just on an iPhone 4 it was at the time, and making videos of him, posting them up on YouTube. They're really, really bad. If you really want to go, my dad's name is Paul Sells. You scroll all the way to the oldest videos, and they're really poor quality. But they were just shot on an iPhone 4, and we basically the content was there. People knew and loved my dad and his teaching. So they forgave a lot of technical difficulties we may have had, and watched him making things out of wood. And then eventually we launched a paid membership channel where we did put quite a bit more effort into the production value.
But I love the fact that you got started with an iPhone. You just got the stuff out there. I mean, I think that's the first. People have to take action, right? I always say, the death of dreams is inaction, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Just getting it up there, whether or not it was perfect, you can always perfect things later, right? So
well, we got to test things out, yeah, and we didn't. I don't know. I feel like if it had failed, we wouldn't have felt too badly about it. If people hadn't been interested, that wouldn't have been that big a deal to us. We hadn't invested any time or money particularly into it. But the fact that people were interested was really validating and really big boost to us. The fact that we got several thousand views on that first video in a matter of weeks, and that was a really big boost. And then we invested a lot more into it. And so that was, I want to say, 9 years ago now.
Gosh.
I know it took me a while to figure that out.
I'm thinking about when we actually had lunch, and really, I was so fascinated by what you're doing. And it was long before I even launched Tech Pixies. It was when I was still doing Made with Joy stuff. So this is like probably a good 6 years ago or so.
I reckon. Yeah.
But so how did you then decide to charge for the membership? And, but also what happened when you did start a membership is it took off, right? I mean, you had to,
there was like a pretty small percentage of people who wanted to watch our content who were willing to pay us. But we did free videos just on YouTube for pretty much exactly a year. And I think I'd have to go back and check, but I think we had about 10,000 subscribers on YouTube at the time. And then we launched, we said to everybody, look, if you want to sort of watch longer videos with like big projects being made, we're gonna charge for that, and we started charging 10 pounds a month. I set up a WordPress website. That's part of our connection to each other is WordPress, because we both love WordPress. I set up a WordPress website, a membership website, and set it up. And there were 2 videos on the website. There was a free one which anybody could watch, and a paid one, and that was it. And 100 people signed up on day one, which was just amazing, because that was a bit of income for us. It wasn't our main source of income for either my dad or I at the time. But yeah, I don't know. That to us, that was a really big success. Again, because we didn't put everything into that straight away. It was kind of a slow, gradual thing. 100 people signing up seemed like a really huge deal for us. And that was just day one. And then we've had it's taken over to where it is our main thing for both my dad and I now, and we have staff who are better at all of these things than us. Well, not that my dad, he still presents the videos, but better than us at the technical side of things, helping us out as well.
Well, it's really interesting because what you just said was really interesting. So you said that over a year you built up these videos on YouTube and you got to 10,000 subscribers. And then you said that 100 people signed up for your paid membership when you launched it. And actually, what I tell our students all the time is that there is a 1% to 3% conversion in online sales. And you just confirmed that and validated that. If you had 10,000 followers and 100 people sign up, then you've got, a 1% conversion, which is pretty typical. And it is interesting with online sales, it's really interesting to know that 97 to 99% of the people that you're selling to will not buy, but the 1% to 3% that do buy are your ideal customer, really. So, and you started out with a $10 a month membership, is that right?
£10, yeah. It was $15, £10. Actually, that conversion's changed a little bit since, but yeah, that's what we started out at. And it's pretty much the same. So with £12, $15. So the $15 stayed the same, £12.
And you just said so at what point after, so you had 100 members, so that presumably was bringing in that, £1,000 a month in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So at what point did you then think, oh gosh, I've got to go full time on this? And I can't remember, did you finish university or not? I feel like you were.
I did. Yeah, I've got a history degree. It's absolutely no use to anybody, but I've got it. No, I did. And I only started history because I love history. And so there was never any real point to that. But I started it in the November, and I balanced uni and running this site. I was in my second year of university. I balanced the two through until the next year, and then I asked the university if I could take a gap year out, and they were really kind and let me take a year out. And so then I ran it full time for a year. And then I thought, if I don't go back and finish that degree, I'm never going to do it. And so we hired one staff member to take over a lot of what I was doing. And that was our first staff member. And then we had somebody else doing a bit of part-time customer service stuff as well. And so I didn't go back. I didn't give 100% to my degree, I'll be completely honest, for that next year. But I did finish my degree. So I was kind of probably 2/3 uni, 1/3 running business for that year. And then ever since then, it's been my full-time job.
Well, I think when I met you, you had taken the year out. I think you were in the year out and we were discussing plugins for WordPress and all that good stuff. When you were very generous with your information and you helped me really think about how we could set up and structure our website. And it was really, really useful. I think it's amazing how generous you were. And we talk a lot, we talk a lot at Tech Pixies about the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset and how helping somebody else out really, is good for the world, right? And I think, I'll never forget how generous you were with me. So the crazy thing is, I think you, unless I'm not correct, I think you've done this all on your own. Like you figured all these things out on your own, or did you end up doing any online courses to help you improve your systems or change what you were doing?
I guess I've picked and chosen which aspects to do myself. So the sort of membership side of things I did by myself. But I don't know whether it's actually possible to run an entire business entirely by yourself. So I have never done any accounting. I really despise filling out forms. And so from day one, I've outsourced accounting. I have no legal knowledge or experience or any desire to learn very much about it. So I've always outsourced any legal stuff, any accounting stuff. And then I've nearly from the beginning had help with customer service related stuff. And then pretty early on, we got staff members in to help with the videography side of things. But the website side of things is still just me, still messing around with WordPress plugins and trying to make the site work. So that's the side of it that I don't know, but that's kind of the core of our business as well. Did you do
any courses to learn how to do ads or to learn how to how to run the membership, or was that all just exploring?
Well, I've never done ads, so I still don't know. Maybe I still need to do a course on ads. But I've never done ads. No, I mean, I've watched YouTube videos to learn how to do a particular technical thing, but I've never done it. Maybe I should.
Well, I'll tell
I
you
don't
what,
know.
I think you should be doing YouTube ads, that's for sure, because all your
Sure.
viewers are on YouTube. It's really interesting because, well, there's Pinterest ads now, and of course which are taking off, which I would imagine Pinterest for you guys would be something very interesting with,
Yeah.
with the woodworking, but also, of course, Facebook and Instagram ads. I find it fascinating that you've built it completely organically. So let's talk about how you've done that, because your membership has grown. How many members do you have now?
Paid members.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's around 3,700.
Wow, 3,700. Are you proud of that? You should be so proud of that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. There's been glitches along the way. And maybe we should have more. Maybe if we ran ads, we'd have more. I don't know.
Well, I think if you ran ads, you would have
I'm
more.
always pushing for more, of course. But no, I'm pretty proud of that.
That's incredible. But now with this membership that's grown over the years, how have you been able to grow it? Like, what have you been doing? What's been the number one thing that's helped you?
So something I have to remind myself of all the time is that we don't grow our membership by adding to our paid site. We grow our membership by adding free content that everybody can see. Now, that's not to say we can abandon our paid members, because obviously they're paying us and they have to be our priority. But honestly, we always see the best growth when we're doing the best stuff that everybody can see, whether that's on social or on YouTube or on the free aspects of our website. And so I would say that's been the key, is we have people tell us we have really great content for free out there. And I guess, I don't know how this adapts to other people. That'll be for everybody else to figure out. But for us, the way we decide what should be free and what should be paid is we try and get in the search results for the basics of woodworking, because that's our core thing. And so if you Google, how do you sharpen a chisel, or how do you cut a dovetail, or how do you plane wood, or how do you set up a plane, quite a few of those search results will be either the number one or somewhere on the first page with a video about how to do those really basic things. And those videos usually aren't particularly long. Some of them might be 7 or 10 or 15 minutes long. And we tend not to do like a big long project for free. And that's not a lack of generosity necessarily, because we kind of thought that at the beginning of like, oh my goodness, if people really love how to sharpen a chisel, they're going to really love how to make a desk, or how to make a table, or how to do this, that, or the other. But then when we would release 7 hours of footage on how to make a table, it actually wasn't that popular. And so for us in our particular niche, we have a really good balance of the big projects. People actually, they're willing to pay for that when they get to that. If you're going to build an entire dining table, you're willing to pay £12 a month to have some instruction on how to do that. And so that's kind of how, and so, but being there in the search results for how to do the basics. And then when people have come to us several times, I guess I'm hoping that this is how it works, is that people will search, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do that? And they go, oh my goodness, I keep coming up with this guy, Paul Sellers. He must know what he's doing. And then when they want to build a bigger project, I guess it's a natural step for them to come to us and pay us what is a relatively small amount if you're going to invest so much time and energy into building the bigger projects.
Yeah, again, no, I find that really, really interesting. And how do you decide what to post every week? Because I know, are you posting free videos every single week, or are you just doing it once a month? What's the frequency? And then also, like, I think it's really great how you explain that the shorter content does better. That kind of introductory foundation content does really well. But then and it makes sense that people would want to pay for the more in-depth stuff that they would be going deeper on. But how often do you post the free stuff? And then, yeah, how do you decide? And what if you run out? How do you not run out of things to make or show people what to do?
Yeah. So how do we decide? Do you know, I really love, and I don't use it enough, but I really love Google Trends. You can go to trends.google.com, and it doesn't give you exact numbers of people that are searching something, but you can compare to search results. And so people search how to do XYZ all the time. I mean, that's the way people, how to change a light bulb, how to do this, how to do that. Like people search everything, and I know I do it as well. Literally, how do you change the light bulb in your oven? I would go to YouTube and try and get a video of somebody showing me how to do it, rather than looking in the manual or whatever else. So we can figure out a certain amount, how much people are searching for how to make a mortise and tenon joint. We can figure out whether that's more popular. And then you can actually switch it around and say, are people searching how to cut a mortise and tenon joint, or or mortise and tenon, how to cut? I don't know. You can kind of switch the words up and see which one is more searched for. And so to a certain extent, that's a really good tool to figure out what people are looking for and answer their questions. We also have people email in all the time asking us questions, and if we don't have a YouTube video for it, we have a spreadsheet that we occasionally check, which has a list of everything everybody's asked that we didn't have a video to answer them with. And then on the paid site, and we release those. We don't have a particular schedule. We do release probably every other week a free video on YouTube or on the free part of our website. We release a paid video every single week, and that's what I was saying is, actually, if we were being smart about it, we'd probably be really focusing on the free content rather than the paid content. But when people have paid us, I feel a certain obligation to make sure they're the priority and they get their content every single week. And we've never missed that. And as far as how do we not run out of content, people always have questions. That's the great thing, and we will just keep going for as long as it makes sense to answering their questions. And no matter how many we answer, they seem to have more. And I really do like to see all of our videos as an answer to a question of how do you do this, how do you do that. And a lot of the titles of our videos are how to cut a mortise and tenon joint, how to cut a dovetail, rather than Paul Sellers shows how to cut a mortise and tenon joint, because nobody's going to search that. People are searching. So I try to match it as closely as possible to what they're actually looking for. How to cut a mortise and tenon joint, how to cut a dovetail, how to sharpen a chisel, how to sharpen it. And then there's so many tools, how to sharpen this tool and that tool and the other tool. We have videos for quite a lot of those there. So yeah, I don't know. Does that answer it?
Yeah, no, that really does answer it. And I think, what you've just reinforced is how important it is to be able to collect questions from people. How do you, and then to answer those questions with your content? And what I say in our Social Media Superhero Bootcamp, which we've got coming up next week, one of the things I say is think about the 52 questions that people would ask you, and then you've got 52 weeks of content, right? So just answer a question every single week for a year, and and the thing is a lot of the questions will come back again. What happens if someone asks a question and you've already created a video? Do you just point them in the direction of that video, or do you recreate that video?
No, we do occasionally go back and recreate a video if we think we could do better a second time through. Some of our very early videos we've replaced with something better, but no, for the most part, if we can just point them to a video, that's great. And then that identifies the gaps in our current videos. It nearly always makes more sense to come up with something, an answer to a new question, rather than going back over the old ones, honestly.
And what about your members? Once they're in, do they just have access to the website, or do you have another space where they can connect with each other, like a Facebook group or something like that?
We have a forum on the website, and I was looking in there the other day. I think there's like 30-something thousand messages in there. But we mainly leave them to it if they will talk about things. There's comments directly under each of the videos as well, where they can ask us direct questions, and that's what we mainly monitor, is those direct questions. So yeah, videos, but the videos are the main thing they get access to, and I think there's 600 of them on there now.
Wow. And when someone wants to, how do you, like on your free videos, do you do a call to action at the end to join the membership? Do you have copy somewhere that does that? How do you actually make the kind of the pitch to join the membership?
Cool. Yeah. No, not in the videos. My dad, one of the things people love about, and it's pretty unique to the way we set up our business. One of the things that I really like about Dad is that it is all kind of over his head. He doesn't tend to get involved in calls to action in the videos. He just cares about woodworking, and people love him for that, because he's just there getting involved with the marketing side of things. He isn't directly involved. I would say he's a great part of our marketing mechanism, because people love what he does. But no, he doesn't tend to do calls to action in the videos. And I'm really careful about how I do the calls to action, because I don't like our paid members to ever see anything about paying ever again. So once they're paid, I want all that to disappear, and they're just there to enjoy the site. And we don't tend to market anything to them at all. So in again, this is sort of WordPress stuff. I have tags for free and paid members, and then we do have little banners and things here and there across the website saying, "Hey, want even more videos? Sign up here." But those all disappear once you've paid, so that the paid people don't ever see that again.
I love that. And I love the attention to detail you give, because it's so, we do that too, where we try, I mean, sometimes, someone will slip through the cracks and then they'll end up getting invited to, one of our free programs or one of our boot camps, which is paid, even though they've already joined the big program. We try and be really careful that doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. Maybe sometimes someone signed up with 2 different emails and we didn't reconcile the emails.
Yeah,
but I have been on so many mailing lists for different courses where you've bought the course and then you're still getting pitched the course. And it's like, do you not have your tags sorted on your mailing system? Because, do you not know that I'm already a paying student of yours? So it's really interesting. I love the way that I love that it's such a nuanced thing. So with the free content, someone can actually register for an account with you for the free content, and then that's where they would see the extra messages and notes. And then when they're watching the video for free on YouTube, what happens? How do they know to find out more?
Yeah, so we do put things in the description of YouTube, and so just to give you a sense of the scales here, so we're really close to 500,000 subscribers on YouTube now. So we're like, I think we're about 24 days of subscribers away from the 500,000. So we're really looking forward to that big number. And then we have about 50,000 members on our site. So that just means we actually have their email address, because on YouTube, you're pretty limited in what information you can have about them and how you can target particular things at different people on YouTube. So we do have links. Again, we don't have many calls to action in the videos themselves. I don't know whether we're missing something there or not, but it's just the way we are. And then we always have links in the descriptions, pretty standard. For more information about this, go to here. And for more information about this, go to here, here, here. And then once people are signed up on our site, one other thing I was going to mention is another way that we sort of split things up with tags is that we give people the option when they sign up whether they want to receive marketing emails from us or not. Actually, more people choose to see that, to get them than I expected they would. Honestly, I always take no, so that's just me. But then we have those banners. We show more banners to people who've ticked that they don't want the marketing information. Because we've lost that opportunity to try and market to them through email. And so, but we try and have either banners or emails. So we don't do both at once. So we kind of have a particular way that we're trying to get our message to people that way. So people who have ticked no are more likely to see something on our site to promote to them that way, so that we don't miss out on an opportunity to market to them one way or another. Because there's less restrictions about what you can show to people versus what you can send them in their inbox.
Well, I did a membership course with Stu McLaren, which is called Tribe, which is amazing. One of the things he talked about was keeping it simple, not overwhelming your members. And you've got a really simple system. Every week you're going to get a new video. And if you're on the paid, and every other week you're going to get a new video if you're on the free. Do you release to the free members one of your paid videos, or are they separate pieces of content?
They're separate pieces of content, and so the paid people get everything, and then so they actually, I guess, get more than one video a week, because they've got the free stuff as well. Again, we've found that people are more likely to pay for the more advanced content, and so we do occasionally release, say we did a paid project that's maybe a little bit simpler or a little bit shorter. We will potentially release that into the free pool eventually. But we've found, again, our audience is pretty self-selecting, in that the people who just want to subscribe to the YouTube channel want short content about how to do stuff. People who sign up on our site but aren't ready to actually build big advanced projects tend not to want to pay us anything. But we can still provide them with a certain amount of education and maybe get ready for the day when they are at a level where they want to build the bigger projects. And so that kind of works really well for us in that way of having those tiers of people.
That's great. Well, and again, going back to this idea of keeping it simple and keeping it, not overwhelming people, because that's what will cause people to leave, according to Stu. How about your retention? Do you have people who've been with you since day one? Do you have people who, how long do people tend to stay?
Yeah, I've changed payment gateways and membership plugins a couple times along the way, which makes it slightly harder for me to know that information. I could figure it out, but we know that some people have been there since day one without a single gap. And people tend to stay for years. So yeah, we have a really, really long retention rate. Our churn is usually, when I've looked at sort of what membership sites say an acceptable level of churn is, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're below the bottom of their, it's usually way, way, way less. Not through any fancy gimmicks or emails that tell them to stay or anything like that. I'm guessing they just like our content, and that's where our focus has been, is just give them the content and hope that they stay. And so far that's working for us. Whether we could do more, because I'm always open to doing more, there's probably more we could do to try and nudge people in that direction, but there isn't any of that involved at this stage. It's just please stay and pay us is pretty much all we do.
And how has your life and your father's life changed since launching this membership?
Yeah, well, it's changed hugely in lots of ways that aren't related, and I guess in lots of ways that are related. My dad, I think my dad's easier to talk about because he was teaching classes to people were coming in, and he found that he was repeating the same class over and over and over again, because although we did more advanced courses, there was always more people at the beginner level than there were at the advanced level. And so he ended up teaching the sort of basics of woodworking over and over and over and over and over again. And this has allowed him to record those more basic steps once, or maybe, as I said, sometimes we go back and record them again as a second time, but once or twice, and then move on to other stuff, and we continue to point people back. And like the video we have on making a mortise and tenon joint's been viewed 2.6 million times, but he only had to do it once. Whereas when he was teaching in-person classes, he may have spent several days of a year just going over again how to do that. So it's really freed him up to really push into more interesting areas of the craft for him. For me, I love problem solving, and owning your own business, as I'm sure you know, is you wake up every single day with new problems. Most of those problems I really enjoy figuring out answers to. Some of them less so.
I'm only laughing because you are so right about that. And anyone who's watching this who runs their own business, they know what that's like. The fire.
Honestly, it really suits me. I really enjoy a new challenge. I don't enjoy doing the same thing every day. And I think
that's what entrepreneurs are, right? The entrepreneurs are problem solvers, and problem solvers that's what they like to do. So if it becomes the same thing every day, it's not as interesting to them.
And having staff involved allows me to let other people who are better at certain aspects of the business run with that. And I do outsource some aspects of it as well, which allows me to pick and choose to a certain extent what I do. But I tend to have all the hardest problems that either nobody else wants to solve or nobody else can solve, and it comes back to me. And honestly, I wouldn't change that. I really enjoy that aspect of the work.
And how many people do you have now on your team that are helping support the business?
We have four full-time staff members, and then my dad and I.
And you've set up a studio as well, right?
Yeah, we're over in Abingdon now, and that's a big difference, because first it was a teaching facility that we would film at the end of, and now we have a building where no members of the public ever come to, and it's just a big warehouse. But then inside that, we've built a garage where my dad works. We did a survey of our members and found that the biggest proportion of them work in a single car garage. So we built a garage set where we sort of figured out exactly what size the average garage was. We did research and made that footprint, because my dad could have worked in like a 3,000 square foot workshop with tons of tools and tons of machines and tons of extra stuff if we'd wanted him to, but that wouldn't have been relatable for people. And so we've forced him down into a pretty small amount of space and said, you're going to have to make everything you're going to make inside that space, because that's relatable for people and that's what they're those are the obstacles they're
Oh,
facing.
that's so interesting. So you made sure that the studio you built was similar to the size of workshop that someone taking the online course or doing, I mean, in the online membership would actually have themselves. I love that.
And we
This
took
is
out
what
all
I
the
love about what you
expertise
do,
my dad
Joseph.
had as well. We were, sorry?
Oh, I was just saying, this is what I love about you is you think about every aspect. You know, that's such an intuitive thought to really think about what the person's going to be dealing with.
Well, we kind of get the feedback as we go as well, because people would say, well, that's all fine for Paul. He's got a great big shop and tons of tools. And so we thought, well, we don't think that's why he's good at what he does. So let's prove it. And so we forced down, he had to downsize his workshop and get rid of tools. Basically, they're still there safely in boxes elsewhere. But then we're kind of making the point visually to them. No, it's not because of the tools and it's not because of the space, because, hey, look, here he is. He's in a one-car garage. The studio is then huge. Outside of that, we've got cameras and lights and everything pointing into this one-car garage, but he never steps out of that space when we're filming. And it really proves the point that you can do it in that amount of space, and probably smaller if we had to. But that's kind of the average. We feel like we've gone far enough. We could potentially push it further and move him even smaller. But we think we've made the point. And I think it. But then once we'd made the point, we didn't see any reason to change it, and so we've stuck with that one-car garage footprint, and everything else takes place around that.
And your office is in there as well, or is it? Yeah,
we had it custom built. We're really lucky to have had it custom built, where we have like a folding wall that cuts out the noise when we need to film, and then unfolds so that my dad's still part of so he's in a garage set in an office effectively when that door's opened up, and so that he's still in the same space. So we have sort of hammering and sawing going on at the end of our office when we're back in our office. Everybody's working from home for the most part of the minute, but yeah, when we're in the office, my dad's there hammering and sawing at the end of the office while we're editing videos, dealing with membership inquiries and so on at the other end of the office.
Wow. And how have you have you gone into any other kind of revenue streams? Are you selling any tools or creating his own tools? Or, are you exploring any of that? Or are you just focused still on the membership?
The one area that we've branched into is books, because that's something, I don't know, my dad especially gets a huge amount of validation from having actual physical content. I think it's probably sort of a reaction to creating intangible content for all these years, that it feels like therapy to be able to make something that's going to last forever. And so we've done a book, and we're planning on doing more books. And it's basically just taking everything, a condensed version of everything we've done. People have asked us to release our online videos as DVDs, but it would be like hundreds of DVDs in a set, and it wouldn't be practical. But the books, we feel like that's sort of a really long-term lasting legacy. And so we invest quite a bit of time and effort into those, and we're planning on doing more of that. Tools, one aspect, and this is again something people tell us they really like, is that we have no affiliate links, we have no sponsorship, no nothing. We don't sell tools. We don't sell them anything else. We sell information, and that's it. And it's our own information that we sell. And that's not a judgment for anybody who does all of those other things, because sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and that's a necessary part. But it's allowed. Again, people still will come in and say, well, the only reason he's recommending that tool is because he's getting a cut from the manufacturer. And being able to be incredibly clear with people and say, absolutely not. No, there's actually a disclaimer on my dad's website. If you go to the homepage and then you click on the disclaimer, it tells you exactly where his income comes from. And we're able to be that clear cut about it, because that's the way we've operated from the beginning. And that builds trust. And it's not to say, I think there are ways to build trust still while using affiliate links and sponsorship and other things, provided you're really clear cut about it. But for us, the cleanest and clearest way to do it is to go, we don't sell anything else. This is it. This is how you can support us. There's no advertising revenue. There is actually on YouTube, but none on our websites. There's no advertising revenue. And the reason we enabled it on YouTube is because we suspect that YouTube pushes videos that have advertising higher up than others. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's what we guess. But yeah, that's been part of building trust with our particular members, because there has been that distrust throughout the whole relationship, where people will still come in and say, do you get a cutback from this or from that or from the other? And being able to just say, nope, never, none of it is the clearest way for us to handle that.
That's really interesting, because we do have affiliate programs, but The only affiliate programs we align ourselves with are ones that I've actually taken and seen an ROI on. So like, for example, if I did a course like on like Stu's, if I did a course on memberships and then, I launched it in my own program and it worked, then I will recommend it out. But I don't recommend all of the programs. There's definitely a couple that I had opportunities to be an affiliate for, and I just didn't think it was appropriate for our audience. So I'm also very careful about who we connect with in terms of what we do promote. It's so great to talk to you about this. And it's just great to get, to talk to somebody who has successfully launched an online membership. And how has the pandemic affected you? Because obviously you and your dad moved online way before online was really, the norm. And then actually in this last year, some people have had some extra time because they've been furloughed or, they've been in between careers, with all the stuff that's going on. Has your membership changed over the last year?
Yeah. So this time last year, we had an increase in signups and an increase in cancellations. Pretty much as soon as that lockdown came. I think we're a few days away from the anniversary of that lockdown hitting us. Today, it's a year to exactly today that we had our last day in the office and asked everybody to work from home as much as they could from that weekend onwards. So it's kind of a weird time to be talking about that. But yeah, from this time onwards, we were seeing an increase in cancellations and an increase in signups. Now that we're a year on, I think we're up from where we were than where we would have been without the pandemic, honestly. That's just, I know a lot of people have struggled. It's almost embarrassing to talk about it being more popular because of that, but that's just the way it is. But we did see quite a few people cancel. We tried to help out where we could because we realized a lot of people were feeling really uncertain. So when we actually changed up, usually it's a self-serve cancellation on our site. It's just you go click the button and you're canceled. That's the end of it. Nobody has to email us in to ask to cancel. But we changed it to where they had to email in for a couple months to ask to cancel, so that we could talk it through with them. And we actually gave some free months to anybody who was canceling because they were uncertain about the future. And that was good for them and good for us because some of them then did end up canceling anyway after I think we gave them 3 or 4 months extra. And they ended up canceling anyway. And some of them, things became more certain for them and they were able to carry on and stay signed up. So that was one way of both helping people and sort of keeping things a little bit more stable. But overall, I think more people have been interested in woodworking and doing things they love, and woodworking is one of them. And so overall, yeah, I think it was our numbers are up from where they probably would have been.
Yeah, I know we had a very similar situation. And I think really for us, it was about the fact that suddenly women were thrust into technology in a way that they just weren't before. And then it became vital that they had these tech skills, and we were kind of perfectly positioned to give it to them. We ran a very successful free training program for a year, and we've now, improved and refined it, and we've now turned it into a paid boot camp, mostly because it got so popular. We had 16,000 women sign up for it. And it was like, it was a lot of people to serve. Because a huge percentage of them were actually showing up and doing the work. So, the issue for us really became, how can we serve people the best? And so we thought, well, if we put it into a paid boot camp and make it, at a reasonable price, which is for us £37, and you get 4 hours of live training and you get bonus technical videos, and we felt like we could serve them much better if it was a smaller group. So we're testing that out now just to see, because as fun as those big groups of thousands of people are, they are very intense, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so we thought, okay, well, let's scale back a little bit and focus on people who want to invest in themselves and with a small amount. But it's interesting how much demand there was for the free training program that we did have, and that really was a result of people being forced into technology. Given the situation. I mean, we used to have an online course that was free about how to use Zoom. because that no one, we would say, okay, we're going to teach our program on Zoom. So if you don't know how to use Zoom, here's how you use Zoom. And I thought, you would not have to do that today. I mean, everyone knows how to use Zoom. Everyone's well-versed in Zoom.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Zoom started because the guy who founded it wanted to talk to his girlfriend.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember reading that because they were talking about how his life changed overnight. But I also think I get what you're saying. You know, with so many businesses that are struggling, sometimes it's hard as a business that did do well during that period to, you know, you have to be careful not to feel bad about it, because actually you are part of the economy that's continuing to move forwards. And also, you know, in your case and in my case, we're giving people something. You know, for my case, we're giving women technical skills, social media skills that they will benefit from massively when they use them. And you're giving people an outlet, something to, you know, do while they wait for the lockdown to ease up. But also, I would imagine there's quite a few people in your membership who also make a living doing woodworking. Do you have people in your membership?
There definitely are. There are people who do it to make a living. There are also sort of educational establishments who've signed up, and then they're, you know, schools. You can see from the domain name the person signs up from. There are quite a few high schools in America where somebody's signed up, I guess, for supplementary information about things. I think the vast majority of people who are following us just want to make nice things for their own home. And actually, that's something exciting. We're kind of launching, kind of not. We're still figuring out. My dad, you talked earlier about how do we figure out what to do, and we talked about the garage, how my dad works in a garage size space. We bought a house 2 years ago, and my dad is actually furnishing that house top to bottom.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you do with all of the stuff your dad makes? So that's what he's doing.
Well, it's only just starting. He's just built a rocking chair that's just in the process of being released on our site now. But we kind of feel like we have to kind of wait a little bit to launch it, because right now all we've got to show is like a big empty space with one rocking chair in it. But eventually, all the
stuff he's made over the last 9 years, where has that gone?
Well, I'm working on a table he made, and there's a bench behind me here that he made, and so various places in my house or other family members' house, and then quite a bit of it is stored. We try and keep them in. We don't ever sell them because we like to keep them for reference, because sometimes people ask us for extra measurements that we didn't give on a drawing or whatever else, so we can just take a tape measure over to it and measure it if it's still here. But if we tried to assemble all that furniture we've made over the last 9 years, it doesn't look like it all goes together, because it was kind of a random process. And so we thought we'd sort of start over.
Oh, yeah, so it all works together.
So that it all works together. We're really looking forward to sort of being able to do a camera pan around the living room showing all the different pieces of furniture and how they all just look great together. But we kind of have to do that really intentionally. And so we've just sort of committed, my dad and I, to at least 5 more years of this, of furnishing a house top to bottom with everything all over again. So even if we've done a chair before, we're going to do another chair for this, and make sure it fits and that it works, and talk about how it fits in the space, because that's the majority of our users are people who just want to make nice stuff for their own home, and they don't really particularly care how long it takes them or how much it costs them, in just wood, because they're going to end up with something much nicer than they'd be able to buy anywhere else. And so, yeah, that's where we're up to, and that's
who gets to live in the house
once we figure out how to.
Who gets to live in the house when it's done?
My dad actually lives in the house. So it's kind of a pain for them, because I've said, look, the living room needs to be empty to begin with, because, so it's a logistics thing, but we want to make it, again, we're kind of trying to constrain ourselves as much as possible, because we're trying to put a bigger budget and more time and energy and money into this, yes, but without just making everything bigger and in a bigger space with more tools and with more stuff, because that just pushes us further and further away from the reality of our customers who are working in a small amount of space building stuff for their house. And so my dad has, in the past, he made furniture for the White House. He's done all kinds of great and fancy work, but again, that's not particularly relatable to people who just want to build a chair for their house. And so we're really trying to push things down into simple, small spaces, because and actually 50% of our audience are in America, who tend to have, as you know, bigger houses than we have over here in Oxfordshire. But then we have a large chunk of our audience who are in even smaller houses than we have here in the UK. And so just trying to balance all that out is how we try and think about it. And I'm really looking forward to furnishing an entire house. That's going to be really fun.
So you said 50% of your customers are in America. So do you release your things on UK time or on US time?
We picked a time that we thought kind of sort of worked for both, and so we release at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, which is sort of 8 a.m. US time on a Wednesday. The only reason it's on a Wednesday and it's still on a Wednesday is because that was my reading day at university. I had no lectures on a Wednesday, so there you go. Bangor University History Department decided when our release day was going to be on and we've never changed it. I don't know whether we should, whether it'd be another time, but also one funny stat that I know about from watching the stats on our audience is that I think people tend to watch these videos at work. We see more people sort of sign on and start watching stuff around 9:30 a.m. In midweek than we do over weekends. So I don't know where everybody works where they can do that, but there you go.
I love that. It's been a great conversation. Well, we've got quite a few live viewers, and at the end of the podcast, I like to open up to questions from people who are watching live. So just want to say hi, Sarah, hi, Padma, hi, Vicky, hi, Aloho, Carol, Kate, and Patrina, and Lee. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. We'll pull these out of the podcast when it gets published. But this has been a great conversation. You're always so generous with your advice. And so I really want to thank you for that. I cannot wait to watch this house unfold. Now, I assume you're going to be putting this house on Instagram.
Yeah. No, definitely. Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. And we think it's a really great story to be able to share the big picture with everybody everywhere, and then the really detailed bit about how to actually build the furniture on our paid site. So we think it works as a marketing tool as well to be able to do it everywhere.
Yeah, no, it sounds absolutely amazing. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions, so we'll just wrap it up now. But I want to really thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise. And, of course, I think if someone's thinking that they might have an idea for a membership, I mean, we have a lot of people in our program with different backgrounds, and doing different things. For example, Julie, who's just joined late but loves this. Julie, she's very creative, right? So she has clothing shops, but she wanted to create a stained glass window for her door. So she's gotten into stained glass, and then she created some awards for us for stained glass. Julie, I'm thinking you could do a membership on stained glass. But there's so many different people that could launch a membership. We have people who do knitting and crochet and crafts. There's so many different things that they could do. What would your piece of advice be? I mean, I know we said early on in this podcast, you said, you just got scrappy. You just filmed the videos, stuck them on YouTube, and just did it religiously for a year. And that's where you got your subscribers up. What is your advice for someone who's thinking about launching a membership?
Yeah, somebody told me, and they said somebody else had told them, so I don't know whether it's a well-known thing in internet marketing or not, but if you can get people's attention, you can sell them things. And I think that's especially true on the internet. And I think if you can, I would suggest if you pick something you really love. I'm sure I bet you've said that before. I pick something you really love, because if you're going to do it for a long time, you need to enjoy doing it every day, and see if people are interested in watching it. Because if you can get people watching you do whatever it is you do on YouTube or on Instagram or anywhere else, and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to watch your content, then chances are you'll be able to figure out sometime, somewhere in the future. I mean, some people don't have the luxury of time, so I would suggest trying to do it alongside whatever else you're doing to begin with, and just show people who you are and what you do. And if enough people are interested, you'll figure out a way to charge people and make a living at it eventually, I reckon.
Well, Patrina says, thank you so much. I make children's clothing, so this would be an idea. Yes, I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of people who'd love to learn how to do that. And and it actually fits very well with the type of model you've built, where you could, release smaller, shorter videos and then do the bigger projects through the paid. I love that. Andrea says, thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant. I know Joseph is absolutely brilliant. Izzy wants to know what your favorite project has been.
Oh, do you know, I'm going to say this rocking chair we've just done on, because it's the first project in this new series. So I'll probably always say the current one, but yeah, this rocking chair is really great.
I can't wait to. I had a rocking chair that I loved growing up. It was actually my grandmother's, and she had done the needlepoint that went onto the chair itself and onto the. You know how you have the bottom part that rocks as well. So you have the chair and then the
Oh, yeah.
the footrest, and she
Yep.
needle pointed both of them, and it's a really precious piece in our home. I hope it's still there. I don't know if it is, but because I haven't been able to go back to America for 2 years, which has been just but
Same. Yeah.
I know. I can't wait till we get to go back. Anyway, so Lee says, thank you so much. She loved it. So you guys, thanks for being a great live crowd today. And of course, thank you, Joseph, for your time. And
no, thank you. It's been great to catch up with you.
Where can people, if they want to find out about woodworking, where can they find the website to join?
If they search my dad's name, his name's Paul Sellers. We're really proud. We've really worked hard on getting every slot pretty much on the first page. You'll find something about him. So just search that, I reckon.
Okay, brilliant. But we'll of course put the links as well into the show notes on our page, on our website, and also onto the podcast. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.